Hello, hello. I'm just getting set up. I thought I had everything organised because I did this yesterday. And I forgot I put half my stuff away. I was being oh so organised. And I was about to start jelly plating. I had no paints on my desk. Oh, I don't know. Hello and welcome. Hello, Tabitha. So just wait a little bit more minute while I get a little bit more set up on my desk, and then we'll get started. So I've lost my mouse. Oh, I gotta go get my mouse to my computer. See, I'm totally disorganised today. I don't know what it is. I'm feeling it's Sunday and it's only Saturday. Every time I do this Craft Alive event, it runs for 4 days, so it starts on a Thursday, and it really throws me off because I think it's a Friday when it starts, and then I get to Sunday and I'm all over it. I'll grab my water bottle as well. So welcome if anyone's joining us. Don't excuse a bit of noise in the background. My daughter's bunnies have decided it's time to absolutely shred a box to pieces. I gave them a run this morning around the house. Usually I get a run at night, and I thought that would tire them out, but apparently not. Bunnies, who would have them? Bunny stew sounds like good on the menu. I was just trying to find that bit of plastic that I was going to show you, and I've lost it. Oh, I'd lose anything today. It was just here. Oh well, not a big thing. Okay, let's get started, and I'll find, there it is. Find it as we go. So, gel plating. We're going to talk a little bit about the plates first, and then we'll get some painty goodness in. So basically today we're going to play on the gel plate with some of my new foam stamps. These are so much fun. So if you haven't heard of a gel plate before, they're basically I'll just open up my big one. They come in a variety of sizes. Sorry, I should have taken this out. So they come in a clamshell packaging when you buy them. Keep the clamshell packaging to protect them, because if you put any dents in this plate, that dent will stay there forever, and you will then get that dent or impression in your paint every time you make a print. And when they come new, they obviously don't come this disgusting and yellowed. This one's about 8 years old. It's well loved. Each of the plates come with a acetate piece. It's part of the manufacturing process either side. Take these off and throw them away. Well, we're crafters, so take them off and use them for something else. They won't be all this painty. I made the mistake of keeping mine on until I learnt that I need to take them off. Because they're used in the manufacturing process, but we can't get them back on as tight as the manufacturing process. So that means that, see how this one's got a bubble in it? It's going to put that sort of mark in your plate. So take those off and throw them in your craft stash to use on something else. Floor's a good place to throw them at the moment. So when you take your gel plate out, it's actually a flexible rubber blobby thing. Put that down on the floor. So it's quite nice and flexible, but it's about 1 centimetre thick. It's a great surface to roll paint or ink out on. So then you can basically make marks in the paint or the ink and then make some beautiful prints. So they also come in all sorts of different shapes. We're going to play with the shape one in just a minute. I have them in lots of sizes. So this is the 8x10 one that we're going to start with. So what we're going to do is we're going to chat about paper just for a second. So you can basically print on any paper you like. That's not shiny, so not like a glossy photo paper. And it depends on how you're going to use your prints. If I'm going to use them in my art journal as the background layers, I like to print on normal photocopy paper or this translucent greaseproof paper. It's really crackly to pick up. But this is the paper from Woolworths. It's their home brand, Armada brand. And it's like $1.50 or $2 for 30 metres. It's fantastic stuff. So when it comes off the roll, there's a matte side and a shinier side. I always put my paint or my ink on my matte side, and then the shiny side I glue down. Now when you do glue this down with a product like Mod Podge, is not the best product, but it does work. Mod Podge, or about to lose something off my desk, or like a matte gel medium, a really thin paint, a thin glue, this will almost disappear, and the paint or the ink you've put on top of it will be the only thing showing. So it's really cool. I've used that in a few of the art journal pages I have up on our YouTube channel as well. So we're going to print on that, And what I like doing, if I'm going to use the paper as, say, a card background or as an embellishment, and we're going to stamp some images, so we're going to make some background papers and then we're going to make some as embellishments we're going to cut out. If I'm using them as a card, on a card or on a scrapbook page as an embellishment, I want to use a thicker paper, either a cardstock, or I'm liking this J Burrows from Officeworks. It's 160 GSM. It's really, really smooth. I stamp all my stamped images on here when I do card making and colour them in, and it's like about $12-ish for 250 sheets, so it's really, really good value. So this is the packet if you're looking in store for it. If you're looking online, just search J Burrows 160 GSM, comes up with a grey package. Hi Desiree, how you going? So because I'm going to be stamping some I want to use for embellishments, I'm going to use that today. So we're going to start with some paint. You can use any acrylic paint. You can use a lot of mediums on the gel plate. We're going to use acrylic paint today, so these are just some for my stash I would like to use up. So we've got a combination of Craft paints, Audi paints. I buy my paints anywhere. We've got Anita's and Semco. A friend gave me a whole lot of her old paints. So basically you can use any acrylic paint, but you're wanting a quite opaque paint. I love that cardstock. I use the 250 for Copic colouring. Tabitha, I haven't got the 250 yet. I might order that next time I order from Officeworks. I haven't used the 250 yet. I thought they sent me the wrong one when the packaging was different, and I rang them up and they politely told me they'd sent me the right one. I told them politely they need to update their photos on their website not to confuse the customers. So I'll have to try the 250 one. I find it really, really smooth. I wasn't Copic colouring, but I was using alcohol markers just to give a bit of colour to some stamped images the other day. It worked out really well. So on this 8x10 size plate, you want about 2 pea size, you know, green peas that you eat, size blobs of paint. The worst thing you can do with a gel plate is actually have too much paint. Now I'm just going to turn it on an angle. I usually gel plate standing up. I will raise my trestle table up to standing height and stand because it's just easier for me. And I just like doing that, but I'm sitting down, so I'm just going to do it on an angle. So when I'm brayering, I'm not having my brayer in contact with my plate all the time. I'm not doing this. It's more of a bit of a flicking motion, and you want this brayer to roll around every time you come off the plate. My wrist just automatically does this action now. It's really hard to explain. So we're basically going to cover the entire plate with paint. You can go up, down, you can go crossways. But you're also wanting to leave this two-tone effect because I added the 2 colours, and we're getting a bit of light shine on it. Hang on. So you can see the colour is not completely covered. Yes, it was confusing with Officeworks. And it confuses me when I order 5 products and I get 5 parcels. I get 1 pencil in 1 box. It's hilarious. And the delivery person just laughs at me when he comes 5 days in a row. So now we have got some paint out on our plate. We are going to grab some foam stamps. What shapes will I play with today? So these are some of our new foam stamps. Let's play with the squares because I quite like the squares. So these squares, oh, I'm going to lose that tub off my desk in a minute. These squares come in a set of 3. And then we've got, I'll show you all the others. We've got stamps in a set of 2. So you can stamp them together or you can stamp them separately. So these are made out of 1 centimetre thick foam, so you don't need to mount them on anything. Bear with me, I'm just trying to match up which ones go with which. I think that is the set of those ones. So we've got sets of scallops, and then we've got, these are all our new stamps that have come out. Does this one go with this one? I'll have to label them somehow. And then we've got these 2 sort of circular ones. I may have the inners wrong, they're all photographed on the website. We have got a butterfly, which is really cute. We've got a leaf and a smaller leaf as well. So all our foam stamps are 25% off for the next week, off 25% discount off. Let's play with the square ones. So to care for your foam stamps, basically make sure when you're finished your printing session, you don't have a lot of caked paint on them. Wipe them off with a baby wipe. I tend to take them to the sink and just put them in a bowl of soapy water, give them a little bit of a wash, and then run water over them until it's clear. As you can see, there's a bit of staining on the stamps, but that won't affect it, affect using the stamp. You just don't want to have a lot of caked paint on your stamp, because then it will form a crusty layer and won't work. Hang on, I'm trying to get everything in screen. I've got stuff everywhere all over my desk. So basically to stamp, we're just going to drop the foam stamp on, press it down with our hand. I usually like to give it a few seconds for the paint to jump onto the stamp. Now sometimes the first time you stamp them you won't get a perfect image. You have to build up a couple of layers on the stamp first. And sometimes you won't get a really good print the first time you get your gel plate out of the packet, or the first time you pick it up if you haven't used it for a while. So the first few prints are just sort of like experimenting prints, and they get better as we go along. So you can see here it's not a great stamped image, but the next couple should be a lot better. So I'm just holding the stamp onto the paper for about 3 to 4 seconds so the paint has time to transfer. We're working with an extremely thin layer of paint, so you've just got to give it time to transfer to the paper. As you can see, and I'm sorry about the glare, let's see if I can get that light out of there. Ooh, or is it too dark? And now it's too dark. Can't win. Have to upgrade my studio lighting. So you can see where I've stamped the squares, you're actually removing paint from the plate. So at the moment we're making 2 different pages. We're making this page, which I will cut out and use in embellishments, and we're using a background page. We're making a background page. So if I didn't stamp out into the paper here, and if I just moved my stamp to another paint in the plate, sorry, start again. If I just stamped on, if I didn't stamp on here and just moved the stamp from one place to another place, on the gel plate, you're moving paint, you're not actually removing it. So you basically move paint from here to here, which is not what we want to do. Sorry, I'm getting all tongue-tied. I'm actually doing 2 events this weekend. I'm doing the Craft Alive event, which has got some lives and videos coming out and some specials, and then I'm also participating in a very big virtual retreat that has 80 ladies. We're all virtually scrapping together, and combining 2 retreats in the 2 events in the same weekend is, yeah, making my brain hurt. So now I'm just going to stamp the little ones in some of the sections. You'll find if your room is very humid, or if you live in lovely Queensland, your paint might dry and you may have to work a little quicker. I haven't turned my heater on yet this morning because I just got my last electricity bill and I was not impressed. So I'm not wanting to use my heater anymore this winter. So my room is quite cold, so it is not drying that fast. So now we've stamped out those images. Let me grab a sheet of this greaseproof paper. Hopefully I ripped it off large enough. This is the reason I like to gel print. Whoops, I don't want a crease in my page. Oh well, we're going to have a crease in the page. This is the reason why I like to gel print, because you can make several different things at the same time. So we've made some stamped images and now we're making a background page. So just lay your paper down. This crease won't really bother me because this would be torn up and put in my art journal. So I'm just going to smooth this over with my hand. And then we're going to peel off the bit of paper. Now you know if you've got enough paint, if when you peel off your paper, yes, I'm busy, no time to sleep. I've been getting up really early last 2 days, which is not me usually. So when you peel your print off, you basically shouldn't have much paint on your plate. And when you peel it off, it should be almost dry. So this is one of the prints we've done. So we could actually, you can actually take a little bit of time and make a design on the plate with your stamps. I just randomly put them on. Sometimes I'll put a circle one in the middle and stamp all around with the leaves and make more of a design feature if that's what I'm wanting to do on my card or my project. But at the moment we're just doing some random stamping. Let's do a purple and pink one, another design, and then I'm going to show you some stenciling. Gel plating is so much fun. My daughter and I was doing it the other night, and we gel plated for about 2 hours and we had that many prints. The only downside of it is if you make too many prints, if that can be a downside. But I'm hoping to turn a lot of these into some cards and art journal pages, and you can use them on scrapbook pages. Probably been a bit heavy-handed with the purple, but that's alright. This is probably a fraction too much paint. I sometimes still put too much paint on the plate. If I'm wanting really nice, like really crisp, clear, I'll just bring this back in, stamped images, some of these are a little faded, I will put a little bit more paint down, but then when I go to take this print won't be as good because you've got more paint down. So have a think about what final product you're actually wanting. Oh, I tried it on glass. Sorry, I'm just reading the comments. I tried it on glass, got it to work once, but then it wouldn't work again. You can get some sort of effect from glass, or even like a silicone cooking mat that your paint won't stick to. It's something to do with the flexibility of, or the squishiness, I suppose, of the gelatin plate or the gel plate that enables you to get prints. There's actually recipes online. These plates are an investment. This size is around $45 maybe. I usually don't like quoting prices. My packet says $38, but that was several years ago, possibly about 8 years ago, so things have gone up in price. But there are recipes online, so you can actually have a go at making your own gelatin plate, which I did, and it failed, so I just went and bought them because I thought that's just easier. And now I teach classes with them, so I can invest in some more sizes. I'm actually about to go buy some more sizes. I'm dreadfully terrible. I don't have enough sizes, so I'm just going to play with the scalloped foam stamps at the moment. My brain won't work today, that's terrible. So as you can see, this time I'm getting a much better stamped image because I've put down a little bit more paint, and my comments aren't rolling up. Hi Tabitha, you bought the stuff to make it, but you haven't made it yet. Yeah, you need, I think it's glycerin, which you can usually get at a chemist, alcohol, not drinking alcohol, rubbing alcohol, and there was gelatin, I think that's the other one. I don't know, I may not have got the quantities right to make a handmade bun, but you can certainly do that. So when I take the second stamp, I'm actually going to watch where I stamp, and I'm actually going to stamp inside but offset a bit on the circle, so you can actually see, I'm not sure whether you can see it real good on camera, but I can sort of see where the image is, where I put the first stamp down, so I can sort of go line up. So I'm lining up the first one just inside the second one, but offsetting it purposely because I can't get it straight. If you wanted to stamp with all these three stamps together, you can just run a bit of masking tape over the back of them just to sort of hold them together while you're stamping, and you can stamp all three at once, which looks rather cool as well. Just put a couple of half ones down. Oh, I've missed one at the top, I can see. Oops. That's not what you want to do. You don't want to move. Oh, no, I've got ink on that one. When you're putting your stamp down, always happens on live camera, doesn't it? I move my stamp, so when you're stamping in the paint or stamping on the paper, you don't want any sideways movement when you put your stamp down. You want to go straight down and straight up. Otherwise, you have misstamped pieces. And I find if you have too much paint on the plate, that's when your stamps will slide. But at the moment, because it's a very thin layer, they're not sliding around. It does take a few times to get the amount of paint right. So the first couple of prints you may do, you may not like them at all. Just going to take another piece of this paper. Hopefully it's big enough. Oh, just big enough. Let's not get a crease in this one. So I'm going to do this one, and then I'm going to swap to using the small plates and show you how you can directly do it into your art journal or onto a scrapbook page or into a card. You can take your brayer, wherever I put it, and brayer over the top of it, but I find, especially with this thinner paper, I like to do it with my hands. I'm just trying to get my sleeves up so I don't get them covered in paint. I like the touchy-feeliness of it. I'm weird like that. I'm weird in many ways. But I just love doing this. I don't know, it's something about feeling over the paper and the paint, and I don't know. So I've seen some people brayer over the top of it. So now we peel this off, and you can see I was stamping inside the circle. So this will make a nice background in my art journal page. And if I do any of those videos using these papers, I will pop up a video on YouTube. So we do have a YouTube channel under the same business name. Now you can see there's a little bit of residual paint on the plate. So you can take a second or a ghost print. Now sometimes these are really cool prints, sometimes you don't get nothing. Just depends. Sometimes the paint's too dry, we'll see. I don't clean my plates between colours unless I'm shifting from doing like dark colours and I specifically want to do a completely change colourway and I don't want any what I call crusty bits coming up. So if we peel this off, oh, we got something. This is really cool. So I don't clean this between sessions. There's little bits of paint around the edge that sometimes stick and will come up a few prints later, which is really cool. And you can sort of see a little bit of that on one of these. Did it work? I was using my plate yesterday, so it's fairly clean. But sometimes you can get other colours showing through or other designs. Now, if I hadn't taken this print and let it dry, I can put more paint over the top and this will be picked up in the next print. So I love gel printing because every print is a surprise. Bunnies, you are being very unhelpful and very loud. They're not listening. They're 12 months old and they are like toddlers. I'm just trying to find where I put mine. You have to watch them every second of the day and they're very naughty. It's supposed to be their sleep time during the middle of the day. So gel plates come in a huge range of sizes. This is a particular set. I'm just going to grab two of these out. I'm going to grab the rectangle out and the oval out. When I'm doing the small plates, I do like to have a second plate there just to put extra paint on. And I'm going to grab my, where did I put them? Oh, stamping blocks. So these little ones I like to mount onto, that's the wrong one. I like to mount onto stamping blocks, just slightly bigger than them. This one's a bit big because I couldn't find a second little one. I have cut myself perspex to match all of these plates. Do you think I can find them? No. So this is just a Montmark sketchbook. I liked the orientation of the book, so I like this long format. And I want to challenge myself this year to work small. I usually am more comfortable on a 12-inch page or on a large canvas, but I thought, why not during lockdown challenge myself to do small things? So this is something like I'm going to create in a few minutes. We're only going to do a half-size page, but this is using the mini gel press plates directly into an art journal, or you can do the same thing on a piece of cardstock for a background, Miss Tabitha. You could do some for your card making. Or you can do it onto a scrapbook page. So gel printing is for all different paper crafting. Bunnies, you are putting me off. Stop. They have cardboard on the bottom of their area. In the back of the room, and they're currently ripping the cardboard. So obviously on a small plate you need a smaller amount of paint, so this is about the right size. What I'm going to do is brayer it out again. If I've got too much paint, this is where this second one comes in. I just go and brayer some and plop it up here. And then I can take that paint and bring it back for another print. So the first layer I'm going to do is just printing some backgrounds. And I've got enough paint on my brayer, and up here I can just pick some more up. So this is fun. It's sort of more like a patchworky look, and then we're going to play with the stencil in just a second when I get some of these. That sometimes happens. Your gel plate comes off the stamping block. You just pick it up and put it back on. You can use these without a stamping block as well. I find the little ones, I had this on the floor yesterday when I was demonstrating. I find the little ones are more easy to handle when they're on a stamping block, but there's no reason why you can't just take it, especially sometimes with the middle of my book, and press it down without a stamping block. So you can do that as well. There's no reason why I can't take my 8x10 gel plate and pick it up and put it in my journal. I find the little ones are a bit easier for that than taking the 12-inch, the 8x10 one. Okay, so we've got this base design now. We are going to take a stencil. This stencil technique can be used on the bigger plate as well in the same way. I'll show you two different ways with the stencils. Just get rid of this pink. Oh, it's almost dry, won't matter. I'll just get rid of this pink as well. So I've just got some drop paper under my work surface that I just make pretty, and when it's pretty enough, I replace it with another sheet of paper. It's actually, my daughter loves Cabana, so every time we order groceries from Woolworths or go down to IGA, she has to go to the deli and order some Cabana. So this is, basically it's newsprint without the print on it, which is really cool. So I'm just rolling out some more paint. This paint looks a bit more translucent, but it should still work. You're wanting really opaque paints when you're layering, you're wanting really opaque paints so they're not translucent or not see-through when you're doing this technique. So the first technique is to load up your plate, whether it's this one or the bigger one, with paint. Place your stencil down. We're going to go a scrap piece of paper, which is just a piece of this Geli paper. The greaseproof paper. And I'm just going to rub on top. Now you just got to be a little gentle because we're using a little plate. This is going to remove the paint from the holes that are in the stencil. So we're getting, again, two things to use this time. We're going to get this nice little bit of pattern to use on something. And again, if we had a 6 by 6 inch plate, you could do the whole stencil. Take the stencil off and see how we've got pattern remaining. So this paint was hiding under the stencil. We're going to take this and stamp it in our book. So this technique gives you a really subtle stencil look because you're removing most of the paint. This time we do it. Have we got enough on our brayer? No, we need a little bit more. This Audi paint is a little bit transparent and a little bit more watery than that first paint I was using, but it still works. So we're just going to put a bit more on there. So now we are going to put our stencil, just trying not to put the painty side down and put marks where I don't want it. So I'm just cleaning off the paint that I had on it. So we're going to lay our stencil down in our book first, or if you're doing a bigger plate, lay it down on your paper, pick up your stamp, and you can stamp through your stencil. So this is going to have a bolder look because we haven't removed any of that paint from our stencil. So we're just going to press down. When you're using them like this, they're a bit squishy, so you can give them a bit of pressure. You just don't want to give them pressure and move them. So you want to sort of go straight down, it squishes a bit, and then pick it up, and we've got a second look with our stencil. So I can just continue. When you do this technique, I have got residual paint that was hiding under the stencil. The stencil's picked up some of the paint, so sometimes it depends on how much paint you've got. You can put your stencil down, grab a piece of scrap paper. I don't know, in paint. Move that out of the way. I get covered in paint when I gel plate. Depending on how much paint you've got on your stencil, you can put some of this thin paper on top and give it a rub. Sorry, the table's wiggling. And you get the reverse image. This doesn't happen all the time. It depends on how much paint you've got on your stencil, how long before you put your paper on it, how you hold your tongue sometimes. So that's a different way of getting a different look from the stencil. Now I've still got paint that was hiding under the stencil when we did this print. So I can take this and let's just go over here. So this is building up a background. This could be a card, this could be a scrapbook page. It's basically just a page in my journal. I find I demonstrate so many times, I will often demonstrate techniques into my journal because then I don't have pieces of paper flying around. Oops. So we can even use our foam stamps on these little plates. Let's go with, what are we going to go with? We bring some blue into it. We'll bring some blue into it. I really don't know what I'm going to do with this background in my art journal page. It may sit there for a little while until inspiration hits. This will actually be a nice journal size. Before COVID and after COVID, I will be travelling on trains a lot. I travel a lot up to my friend's house at Swan Hill that I work. We both have scrapbooking businesses and we both work together at the craft shows. So I'm forever going up to her place to kit up, to make up classes and do all that sort of stuff. And it's 2.5 hours on the train. So I would take little books like this with pre-decorated backgrounds. I'll take a bag of stamped images and I will sit there and art journal on the train. Makes the 2.5 hours go quite quickly. I'm just going to move this over. So we are going to play with our foam stamps. That's what I was going to do. Let's go. So I've got the tiniest of tiny squares and I'm just going to make some patterns in our block. So I'm just going to, exactly like I did with the 8 by 10 big plate, I'm just going to stamp into the paint and then stamp off. This one is a very, very cute little size stamp. Unfortunately, the star stamp, when I was designing, did not survive the cutting process. It's a little small, so that one's only a 2 set. But this one survived. So now I've got, I don't know whether you can see that. Yeah, you can. Paint removed from the stamp, and I've also got some stamped images here. So I can take this and, where am I going to put it? That's the biggest decision. Where am I going to put it? I'll put it up here. So now I can stamp that down. And that has completely removed the paint from our plate, which is what we wanted to do. Now let's do that again, because that's kind of fun. So as you can see, it's a lot of experimenting. I could sit here for the rest of the day, but I have work to do. I'm going to put my work hat back on. I could sit here for the rest of the day and continue to stamp and continue to play in this art journal. So we're just going to add some more stamps. I'm not worrying about covering up the entire background. I may come through with a watercolor wash or a translucent paint to cover up the background. I haven't prepped this paper at all. This is just the 100, I think it's a 150 GSM cream sort of paper in these Montmark. I don't know where I'm going to stamp it. I'm being indecisive. In these sketchbooks. What I have done is actually removed some of the pages, because when you buy a book like this, it's obviously a full book, and these have signatures in it. So as you're flipping through the book, occasionally you'll see a few lines of cotton. I don't think am I on a signature page? Can't tell. Hang on. So when you're flipping through, you'll get to pages that have these bits of cotton here. So that means it's a signature. So it's a group of pages folded together and sewn into the book. I will go to each signature, there's probably 5 or 6 in this book, and remove at least 2 of these double folded pages. This will allow my book to expand and not look like an alligator when I'm finished. Because if you take any book that has full pages and you go and even stick paint on it and images, it's going to make it very, very full. So I do go and remove some of the pages before I forget. Sometimes I will glue these pages together, depending on what I'm doing. Sometimes I'll just leave them as single pages. My gel plate wants to stay on my book. There we go. I might put some pink on this side. So has anyone got any questions on gel plating, or any questions for me that I can answer live on television? We also have a custom made service on my website as well. So on my website I stock obviously all the things I make and manufacture. Chipboard mainly, foam stamps, stencils, and what else do I do? Oh, the mixed media cardstock. And then we also have a custom made service, so you can email us and ask for certain designs made out of any of those 4 products. We just can't do a lot of things that are trademarked, so I've just got to be a bit careful to stay away from the word Disney or Disney characters, because I don't want to be sued. And apparently in America they have sued companies that have manufactured their designs in the crafting industry. I'm loving how this is coming together. Now I just don't know what I'm going to put on top of it, but that's okay. I need to bring some of the bit more of the blue over this side, which I will do off camera. So that's all I wanted to do, is pop on today and show you our new foam stamps and a way to use them on your gel plate. You can certainly use them with ink, with distress inks, with distress oxides, either on your gel plate or not on your gel plate, so you can use the foam stamps in a lot of different ways. If I've got time tomorrow, I'll pop on and do another live. I'm just... Sorry, we've got a question. Hang on. I was wondering what the smaller blocks would be used for. I've never seen them used before. Oh, you mean the smaller gel plates? This is basically what they're designed for. They're designed to add smaller blocks of colour and build up a bigger design. And they're also handy to reverse an image. If you've got a stamp, like a normal rubber stamp, and I don't know whether I can find one without... No, I don't have one. Oh, hang on. I've grabbed one. So this is just a Craft set that was sitting around on my table. This is not a good example, but we'll go with it anyway. Say you like this flourish here, but this flourish is actually, as it's looking at the moment, it's going when you stamp it to the left. if you want to reverse this image, you can actually ink this up, stamp it on your gel plate, just make sure there's no paint on it and you clean it up first. Stamp it on your gel plate as you would stamp it onto your page, but you're stamping the ink onto your gel plate. I don't have my permanent black ink anywhere in reach. Actually, I do. Let's do it. Why not? Then you'll want these, Tabitha, because this will just be lots of fun. I didn't think I had my ink pad here. If we get a bit of paint on this, because this is not completely clean, that's all right. Just ignore it. So I'm just going to put my stamp normally on a stamp block. I'm going to ink it up like I'm going to normally stamp, as opposed to abnormally stamp. So this is just inked up. Now I can go and stamp onto my gel plate. You want to hold it for about 5 seconds to allow that ink to contact with the plate. So now you've got ink on the plate here. It's a lighter image, but it works. Now, when we stamp this, where am I going to stamp it so you can see it? I'll stamp it down here. Now we put the gel plate with the stamp on it on our page again, hold it for about 5 seconds. My ink pad probably needs re-inking, so if I re-inked it, this would probably work better, but hey, you'll get the general idea. Wow, an original archival. Yes, this ink pad is possibly 15 years old. Jen, my friend from Hillbilly Scrapping, has seen me use it at her retreats and in her classes and felt so sorry for me. She sent me a new one. I re-inked it and re-inked it. So now if I pick this up, you can see this, I will stamp, hang on, I'm all thumbs. Let me stamp next to it. I'll stamp next to it on the pink. Ah! Now this is not going to come out great because, yeah, this is a sort of an old ink pad. It's like my computer, Tabitha. When I get things, I like things, I keep them for ages and they last. And then when I have to say goodbye to them, I don't like them. Not the best example, but you'll get the idea. So this is the ink, this is the image stamped straight on the page, and this is the ink gel transfer one. If I had a better ink pad, it would probably work better. Yeah, your ink pads will have to be falling apart to replace them. Well, this one works just fine. It's just when I show it in classes, people go, what brand is it? I said, it's archival, it's Tim Holtz. Doesn't look like my ink pad, is what I would get in all the classes. So Hillbilly has, Jen from Hillbilly Scrapping has given me a new one and go, please use this in your classes and videos. So people know what you're using. But yeah, it's vintage. It still works. It's getting a bit crabby around the edges, a few hairs have fallen off it, but it's working. So you can reverse your stamped images using your little gel plates, which is really cool. Just when you're using stencils, if you're using a word stencil, you must put it backwards on your gel plate. And then when you pick it up to stamp or you put your paper down, it will be the right way around. So you can't reverse, obviously, words because your words will be backwards. This side of stencil is reversible, so it doesn't matter. So you can put it down either way. But if it had a word on it or a saying on it, I would have to put it on my gel plate so it looks backwards when you're reading it. Otherwise, you'll make paper that is back to front with words. You like the older labels? Yeah, I think this label is really, really nice. What didn't have archival ink smudged all over it. I sometimes think when they upgrade packaging and that, why leave it alone? Just leave it the way it is. It does. It looks really nice. Hey, it might be worth something one day if it's vintage. What's vintage over 10 years old? Have to be at least 15 years old. It's older than Alexis, and she's 13 this year, so I had another... It was older than my shop, so I had another 3.5 years to that. I bought it before I had a retail shop, so yeah, oh, it could be going on 20 years old. Oh God, that's terrible. That tells you how old I am. Well, that's about me done. So you can reverse these. You don't get as good an image. Takes a bit to, and it probably had a bit of paint on it, which didn't help. But that's something you can do with these little plates as well, which is quite fun. I've seen that in a video. So I will leave you there. I may pop on tomorrow and do a live. It just depends on what commitments I've got over on the other closed Facebook group we are retreating in. But I had a few minutes to spare, so I thought I would pop on and do this. Now I've just got to decide what I'm going to do and how I'm going to finish my page. It may just stay like this. It may just stay a background for a while. Till that thing called time comes. Thank you very much for watching. And all these stamps can be purchased from my website, which is www.scrapbooking.craft. It's linked in the Facebook group or Facebook page. And I'd love to see if you buy any of my stamps. I'd love to see what you make. Includes you, Tabitha. I want to see some more stuff of my stuff in your work. Out of the box and onto the page. Maybe. Thank you very much for watching. I will catch up with you all again. Bye for now.